This is Mo Fan. He just went through what he'd call the most disastrous exam of his life, not because he was a delinquent student, but because he couldn't understand why the exam was on magic. 2 months prior, while sleeping in the forest, an old man gave him a ring, and since then, people started talking about magic. His classmates noticed Mo Fan and assumed he must not have understood a single question, as he was the first to submit his paper. This young man was Mubai, one of the most promising students, nearing the realm of a genius. Mubai came from a family that could master ice magic, second only to fire magic. But rumor had it that there was another element even stronger than fire. Later, Mo Fan met his father. When his father asked about the exam, Mo Fan shrugged, explaining he'd only known about magic for a couple of months and the exam was from the introductory year. Knowing his son failed, his father suggested they go work on a fishing boat together. But Mo Fan refused, wanting to continue studying because magic was the easiest field to find a job in these days. A few days later, while returning home with his friend, Xiao, Mo Fan discovered his father was meeting with an acquaintance to ask for help getting him into a magic high school. However, the man refused, citing Mo Fan's past involvement in helping his daughter run away. Although the daughter had long since returned, and there was no significant loss, the man still considered Mo Fan a delinquent with a poor academic record. Getting Mo Fan into school and pursuing his dreams was simply impossible. But Mo Fan's father pleaded for a chance, and the man finally agreed on the condition that Mo Fan's father would mortgage their house. The house itself wasn't valuable, but its land was. He accepted. Even knowing this, Mo Fan remained silent upon returning home. His father simply said he'd gotten him into school, and that he planned to rent out the house. Mo Fan could only promise his father he would earn enough money to give his family a comfortable life. He also overheard his father mentioning the man's daughter had returned from the imperial capital, but Mo Fan didn't pay much attention. Back in his room, he remembered the past. Years ago, the daughter had wanted to elope with him, tired of living in her house, but they were caught. Mo Fan and his father were threatened by the man for daring to seduce his daughter. He warned that if Mo Fan ever appeared before his daughter again, he would break his legs. Not long after, Mo Fan entered high school. As soon as class began, the teacher handed out badges. They were to be used later for element identification, revealing their magical affinities. A chubby boy suspected Mo Fan had bribed his way in. Mubai then volunteered to be the first to have his element tested, and as expected, based on his family's history, he manifested ice magic. However, his ice magic badge displayed an extra star. 7 stars signified complete mastery of an element. The presence of 1 star already indicated significant potential. Everyone else then proceeded with their identification, and finally, it was Mo Fan's turn. He placed his hand on the assessment stone. He felt a surge of magical energy, more than he expected. He closed his eyes, and various elements began appearing in his mind. But he noticed a purple element, and at that moment, in the adjacent classroom, someone awakened their lightning magic, an element stronger than fire, also purple. Mo Fan's own purple element began to manifest, then faded, replaced by the color of fire. He opened his eyes, seemingly having awakened both fire and lightning magic. The class returned, and their astonishment at his fire magic was evident. They stared at him with wide eyes. He wondered how they would react to the revelation of his dual mastery over the 2 strongest elements. He realized he was a hidden genius. He decided to keep his secret until he'd become stronger, then let them taste his lightning's wrath. 2 months later, the teacher taught them cultivation techniques, creating an orbit for 7 stars to form a perfect circle. Mubai was called up as an example, and he managed to achieve 5 stars, which also appeared on his badge. Most others only had 2 or 3 stars, making Mubai the fastest. However, at the end of the lesson, everyone mocked Mo Fan for only having 1 star despite being a fire mage. He didn't bother arguing and left. Actually, he hadn't cultivated his fire magic. He'd focused on his lightning magic, which already had 6 stars. However, the 7th star proved elusive. He then realized something and ran to the park, where he found his sister, Tam H1A1, being harassed by a group of thugs. They'd taken her wheelchair to pressure her. Mo Fan intervened. These thugs seemed to have been harassing his sister before. Seeing Mo Fan, they challenged him. "You think you can take on 4 of us alone?" He stepped back and activated his 7-star technique, unleashing lightning that knocked the leader unconscious. The thugs cowered, begging for mercy. He told them to leave and never touch his sister again. The thugs fled in terror, and he returned his sister's wheelchair. She was surprised he'd already manifested magic. He dismissed it as insignificant. Meanwhile, it was revealed that Mu Bai's uncle, the one who helped Mo Fan get into the school, knew him. Hearing that Mo Fan hadn't progressed for months, he knew the boy would soon receive a lesson. That night, Tam H1A1 visited Mo Fan, asking if he was involved with the recently rumored heretical sect, known for accelerating cultivation speed. Mo Fan sent his sister home and continued his training. He decided to keep his lightning magic hidden, using only his fire magic in public. His lightning magic was already mastered, so focusing on fire magic wasn't too late. He also needed to control his cultivation speed to avoid being linked to the heretical sect. Soon, he attended a practical magic class. The class met their instructor, D-stroke letter 1bo letter 1EDD NGNGUY letter 1EC7T. She would teach their practical sessions. Only 3 students, including Mo Fan, were fire mages. She then demonstrated a devastating first-order fire magic spell. Seeing its power, Mo Fan decided to learn it. The final exam approached, and the uncle contacted Mu Bai, giving him a power-absorbing stone to sabotage Mo Fan, causing him to fail and get expelled. Mo Fan had already cultivated 5 fire magic stars. He resolved to master it within the next month and a half, shocking his detractors. In the following days, Mo Fan diligently trained and awakened his 6th star. The exam drew near, and the teacher explained that students would place their hands on a stone, sensing the radiating light. The intensity would determine their score. He believed some hadn't mastered all 7 stars to cast spells, so the practical exam would be supplementary. However, those who passed the practical exam would be directly admitted to the advanced class and receive artifacts to boost their cultivation. Exam day arrived, and the school invited Mo Fan's nemesis, the uncle, his brother, and daughter, all members of the Mu family, including Mu Bai and Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT, the girl who eloped with Mo Fan years ago. Mu Bai planned to get Mo Fan expelled in front of Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT. The principal called on Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT to demonstrate her power. She shattered an ice orb with her magic. Mo Fan realized how powerful she had become. Everyone was then called to take the exam. Mo Fan's friend, Xiao, who, a wind mage, was called next. He passed the elemental assessment, but wanted to attempt the practical exam. He activated 7 stars, but lacked the power to unleash a spell. The teacher believed Xiao, who was just nervous, and that he'd do better next time. Next up was Mu Bai, who scored the highest in the school. He completed the practical exam, freezing half of the training stone, but Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT only deemed it satisfactory. Then it was Mo Fan's turn. Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT's father wanted to see the result of the opportunity he'd given Mo Fan. A teacher secretly placed the power-absorbing stone beneath the assessment orb. As Mo Fan began his assessment, his energy was constantly drained. However, he poured more energy in, causing the stone to shatter. His ability was only rated as a B+, above average. But teacher D-stroke letter 1bo letter 1 EDD NGNGUY letter 1 EC7T intervened, requesting a retest for Mo Fan, taking full responsibility for any unforeseen consequences. Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT also vouched for Mo Fan, and everyone agreed. He exceeded expectations, achieving an S-rank score, surpassing even Mu Bai. Mo Fan then requested the practical exam. Mu Bai assumed Mo Fan had focused solely on the 7-star cultivation, thus failing the practical test. However, Mo Fan's practical exam performance was even more brilliant, exceeding Mu Bai's score and securing him the top spot in the school. The principal asked Mu Troc Van, Min Tuy letter 1 EBFT's father, if Mo Fan was from the Mu family. It turned out he was only the chauffeur's son, and his lack of family support proved his exceptional talent. Mr. Mu acknowledged Mo Fan's transformation and changed his perspective. He gifted Mo Fan a bracelet to aid his cultivation. But Mo Fan rebuked Mu Troc Van directly, swearing he'd never return to the Mu family to be their dog. The teacher wanted Mo Fan to apologize for his outburst, but he refused, citing Mu Troc Van's past actions sending thugs to beat his father 3 years prior without apology. Mu Troc Van dismissed Mo Fan's defiance as arrogance stemming from his top ranking. The Mu family threatened expulsion, but the principal stated they lacked the authority without his consent. Seeing the escalating conflict, Mu Bai proposed a duel with Mo Fan to resolve the matter. But Mu Troc Van had another contender, his adopted son, Vuan Gan. Mo Fan accepted, stipulating that the loser would have to kowtow and apologize. However, teacher D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1 EDDNGNGUY letter 1 EC7T pointed out that duel rules only permitted participants aged 18 or older, delaying the duel by 2 years. Mu Troc Van vowed revenge. Mo Fan knew Vuan Gan would be incredibly powerful in 2 years and needed to train harder to surpass him. He'd never given his father anything, but now he would restore his father's lost dignity. Soon, the second year began. The old homeroom teacher and teacher D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1 EDDNGNGUY letter 1 EC7T returned. The teacher announced that only the top 3 students would receive the cultivation boosting bracelets. For fairness, these bracelets would be lent to lower-ranking students for a certain period before being returned to the Mu family after a year. Some students worried this would disadvantage lower-ranking students, but the school had to comply with the Mu family's demands to avoid trouble. During training, Mo Fan questioned Mu Bai about his upcoming opponent, Vuan Gan. He learned his bracelet was a magic artifact with varying levels, and Vuan Gan would soon use Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT's special artifact for 6 months of cultivation, creating a significant advantage over Mo Fan's 10-day access. That night, while calmly training, the necklace given to him by the old man reacted with his bracelet. Upon inspection, the necklace absorbed the bracelet, causing Mo Fan to panic, as it was expensive and irreplaceable. Suddenly, teacher D-stroke letter 1B's letter 1 EDDNGNGUY letter 1 EC7T arrived, inquiring about his situation. Mo Fan revealed everything. She realized his necklace was also a high-level magic artifact, capable of absorbing other magic artifacts to enhance itself. He finally understood his good fortune. He asked if she intended to kill him to obtain the artifact, but she assured him she wouldn't. She only advised him not to reveal it and that harnessing its full power would require sacrificing other magic artifacts. She'd take care of the lost artifact, considering it a debt he owed her. That night, he returned to training. The next day, the entire school went on a field trip, or rather, a practical training exercise. Mo Fan noticed his fire magic was acting strangely, sensing an imminent breakthrough to the second level. They were taken to a facility and met their instructor, Zhan Kong. He explained their task, a demon extermination test. One successful student meant everyone passed. If no one succeeded, the whole class failed. Zhan Kong wanted them to experience the harsh realities of the job, not just a leisurely field trip. A mage's job is to eliminate demons that harm people. If they were already hesitant during training, what would they do in real life? Especially as advanced students. Mo Fan asked about the reward for passing. Zhan Kong promised a defensive magic artifact as a personal reward for the successful student. Mo Fan was determined to obtain it. In the following days, the students went into the mountains to hunt demons. Upon encountering a cliff, they had Zio who used wind magic to cross with a rope. He succeeded, narrowly avoiding a fall, securing the rope for others. Mubai took a different route, later rejoining the group. They reached a cave Zhan Kong had tasked them with investigating. It had once been a werewolf lair, but had been cleared by Zhan Kong's team. Their task was to check for any remaining traces of werewolves and find a ring a supervisor had dropped. We learned that Zhan Kong had assigned observers to protect the students. His harsh words were intended to push them to their limits. Only under pressure would they unleash their full potential. However, the cave's challenge was real, and Zhan Kong had calibrated the difficulty so the creature wouldn't be overwhelmingly dangerous. They reached the cave entrance and discussed strategy before entering. But while everyone else went in, Mo Fan stayed behind to observe. Xiao, who remained, questioning Mo Fan about anything suspicious. Mo Fan pointed out that it had rained recently, but the lake was significantly lower, with no signs of overflow. The watermarks on the rocks didn't match the current water level, suggesting a creature had been drinking from it. Based on the amount of water missing, they could estimate its size. Xiao, who warned the others, but they dismissed him and Mo Fan as scared. They proceeded, only to be confronted by a werewolf. Mubai, though outwardly boastful, panicked and ran. Zhu Min, a female student, tried to confront the werewolf, but Mo Fan carried her away. A single spell would have gotten her killed. Zhan Kong and the other instructors, observing from the mountain, saw everyone fleeing, indicating the test's failure. The werewolf was actually created and controlled by an instructor, not a real creature. He noticed everyone fleeing, and Mubai remained, changing into his battle gear to freeze the werewolf's feet. Zhu Min, just saved by Mo Fan, returned and unleashed a fireball. The werewolf broke free from the ice and lunged at her, but Chao Ding, another student wielding lightning magic, rescued her. Mubai's ice magic proved insufficient, so Mo Fan joined the fight. He donned his battle gear and unleashed a second-level fire spell, engulfing the creature in flames. The beast plunged into the water to extinguish the fire. Zhan Kong, having gotten the result he wanted, ordered the werewolf's retrieval. But Mo Fan's attack had caused the werewolf to lose control, creating a dangerous situation, forcing Zhan Kong to intervene. Xiao, who changed into his battle gear and rescued a student targeted by the werewolf. Seeing everyone had found cover, he distracted the werewolf. The werewolf then focused on Mo Fan, who also had to seek shelter. He realized he was the only one left capable of fighting. The three strongest students had already been defeated. Xiao, who then guided Mo Fan deeper into the cave to evade the werewolf. Zhu Min wanted to help, but the chubby boy urged retreat. Everyone witnessed the werewolf's strength. Zhan Kong arrived and learned that Xiao Hu and Mo Fan had lured the werewolf into the cave. Teacher D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNGNGUY letter 1EC17 knew they were minimizing casualties, but worried for their safety. They stopped in a cave area to recover, but the werewolf pursued them, forcing Xiao Hu to push Mo Fan out of the way, taking a hit. Enraged, Mo Fan unleashed a lightning attack, paralyzing the creature, but it could still move. He noticed stalactites above and used a spell to bring one down. The werewolf was critically wounded but pressed on, only to collapse before him. He examined it. Its spiritual energy escaped and was absorbed by his bracelet. Zhan Kong finally arrived, realizing Mo Fan had defeated the werewolf using a stalactite. Xiao, who was injured and needed treatment. Mo Fan asked Zhan Kong to take care of him. Zhan Kong was puzzled. The werewolf's reflexes were too sharp to be hit by a falling stalactite. Mo Fan avoided the question and asked him to treat Xiao Hu first. After bringing Xiao Hu out, they met the others who had retreated. The instructor asked about the werewolf. Hearing it was dead, he assumed Zhan Kong had killed it while waiting to subdue it. But Mo Fan was responsible. He simply stated he'd broken the stalactite, but everyone protested. A seasoned mage like their teacher couldn't defeat it, yet a trainee like Mo Fan could. Undeniably, Mo Fan had saved everyone. The instructor was heartbroken that his creature had been killed by a trainee. Jan Kong told him to let it go. Everyone praised Mo Fan. His top ranking was well-deserved. Jan Kong criticized the students for their panic, but forgave them as it was a common reaction for beginners. Those who fought bravely would get an A, Mo Fan an S. For defeating the werewolf, he'd also receive a magical artifact. His success meant the class passed. The next day, Jan Kong awarded medals. When Mo Fan received his, Jan Kong offered him a position after graduation, suggesting his support would bring him fame. Mo Fan declined, needing time to consider. While outwardly pleased, Jan Kong remained suspicious. Examining the werewolf's corpse, he noted burn marks and strange traces on the ground, not entirely from fire, suggesting Mo Fan was hiding something. But reports of demon activity prompted him to set it aside and dispatch his team. 2 months later, Mo Fan focused on lightning magic, having concentrated on fire magic during the previous semester. He realized the difference between first and second level magic. Only second level magic could effectively injure demons. He wanted to see the power of second level lightning. He knew he needed to help his bracelet evolve to accelerate his cultivation. His current abilities would struggle against demons like the werewolf. He came up with a plan: become a bounty hunter to earn money to enhance his bracelet and gain combat experience. The next day, he went to the city's Hunters Guild to find work. New to this, he was a bit bewildered and listened to an experienced hunter explaining the available missions. Some seemed too difficult, but he overheard valuable information. The city's hunter team was recruiting. He approached the hunter for details and found a long line of applicants. However, only the brave would be accepted, not those who trembled at the sight of demons. There was an exception. Fire mages were more likely to be accepted because fire magic was inherently powerful, and the team leader would provide additional training. He inquired about lightning magic. It was considered special and usually guaranteed direct acceptance. But lightning mages were advised against joining such teams. Their unique abilities were better suited to large clans offering support. He weighed his options and joined the line. Meanwhile, the hunter team leader was frustrated by the lack of qualified applicants, partly due to his high standards. The hunter who'd given Mo Fan information noticed him joining the line. It was Mo Fan's turn to apply. He realized that even fire mages without combat experience struggled to get accepted, so he used his lightning magic as a condition for joining. He used a fake name, and the team leader personally invited him to join. He'd provide training if Mo Fan lacked experience. Mo Fan cleverly highlighted his team's shortcomings, and the leader agreed to train him in those areas. With Mo Fan accepted and the team full, the remaining applicants could leave. He was introduced to the team members: the vice captain, Tai D stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNG, an ice mage. He recognized her as Nin TUY letter 1EBFT, his cousin, and hoped she wouldn't recognize him. And TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3, a water mage. Suddenly, a demon attack was reported, and the team leader ordered everyone to go, telling Mo Fan to return. But he insisted on going. On the way, he learned his sister attended the targeted girls' school. He tried calling her but couldn't reach her, hoping she was safe. At the scene, the leader assigned Phi TH letter 1EA1CH to protect the students and Lair K I letter 1EC7T to scout for the demon. Mo Fan was tasked with searching the cafeteria. He received a call from his sister, who explained the emergency evacuation and that she'd left her phone behind. She'd seen a strange student who hadn't evacuated and had gone to the cafeteria alone. She couldn't follow, so she told Mo Fan. He immediately encountered the demon hiding in the cafeteria. It fired a beam, partially burning the cafeteria and triggering the sprinklers. The leader and others quickly arrived. Mo Fan dodged the creature's attacks. Lair K I letter 1EC7T used his super speed wind magic to evade the laser beams. Mo Fan was impressed. It was faster and stronger than Xiaohu's whirlwind. The leader used a third-level fire attack. Mo Fan was surprised. A single strike severely injured the demon. But as Tai D stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNG prepared to freeze it, the demon attacked, catching TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3 off guard. Luckily, Mo Fan paralyzed it with lightning magic, preventing serious injury to Tai D stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNG. The leader criticized TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3 for her carelessness as a learning experience. He then praised Mo Fan and made him a full member. Mo Fan's bracelet absorbed the demon's spirit, and he realized no one noticed, suggesting future demon hunts would greatly enhance the bracelet. They found a cave where the demon had held the students captive. The leader left it for the association to handle. It was time to go home. Everyone praised Mo Fan. He then found his sister, relieved that she wasn't injured. She'd heard his fight on the phone. He reassured her the demon was defeated. The next day, Mo Fan received his first bounty. Meanwhile, Mo Fan's opponent, Vuangan, emerged. He was complacent, nearing third-level ice magic, but felt he still had to reach Nin TUY letter 1EBFT's level to be considered peak. He met with Elder M letter 1E5C, who demanded victory at all costs. A win would elevate the Mu family's power and secure him training in a sacred ground. M letter 1E5C B letter 1EA1CH sought information on Vuangan's training from his uncle. If Vuangan lost, Mo Fan would likely receive the sacred ground training opportunity. A few days later, Zio who asked Mo Fan why he'd been absent from school. Mo Fan vaguely mentioned working as a hunter. Zio who mentioned Zhu Min frequently seeking him out, and she arrived just then, grateful for being saved. She invited him to meet that night behind the school. He agreed. That night, he met Zhu Min at a construction site. Her grandmother lived nearby and often heard strange noises at night. Suspecting danger, she asked Mo Fan to investigate. He found a way inside, but Zhu Min barged in. Mo Fan suspected a demon and used detection powder. She was amazed by his skill and knowledge. He found demon tracks, and soon a one-eyed wolf emerged. Mo Fan and Zhu Min recognized it as the creature from Zhan Kong's test. Mo Fan realized it preyed on homeless people, who were less likely to be noticed by police. It was intelligent, so Mo Fan told Zhu Min to evacuate her grandmother and neighbors and call the police. She'd already called. The wolf spotted them. Mo Fan created a fiery barrier, but the wolf broke through. He told Zhu Min to evacuate while he stalled. He fought the wolf, using the artifact Zhan Kong gave him, but was thrown back. Tai D stroke letter 1B letter 1EDDNG, with Vuangan, arrived and witnessed Zhu Min evacuating people. She inquired about the situation and, along with Vuangan, engaged the wolf to allow Mo Fan to escape. He retreated. She still recognized him from when he and some Mu family members had spied on her showering. Vuangan mocked him upon recognizing his rival. Tai D stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNG summoned the team leader to deal with the wolf. The leader instructed them to contact PH letter 1A7N M letter 1EB7C, if possible, Mo Fan's alias. Mo Fan reached a nearby bridge, changed his clothes, and rejoined the team, revealing his lightning magic. He paralyzed the frozen wolf, but using fire magic would melt the ice and free it. Relying solely on lightning and ice wouldn't kill it. Therefore, the leader called for reinforcements, expecting a water mage to arrive soon. But the werewolf broke free, growing stronger, seemingly on the verge of evolving. Lair K I letter 1EC7T wanted to retreat, but the leader wanted to see what was behind them, a residential area. Retreating would expose the civilians to attack. The leader aimed to eliminate the werewolf before it fully evolved. Phi TH letter 1EA1CH would create an earthen barrier to contain it, while TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3 would use water magic to support. The leader then unleashed a third-level fire attack, but the werewolf, despite taking a direct hit, sustained minimal injuries. It counterattacked, forcing TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3 to restrain it, but it was about to break through. Mo Fan had to move TI letter 1EC3UKH letter 1EA3 out of the way, as the leader prepared an all-out fire attack. The fire engulfed the area, and everyone took cover, but the werewolf remained unscathed. Phi th letter 1ea1ch and t I letter 1ec3 ukh letter 1ea3 slowed it down while the leader evaded, but the werewolf broke through t I letter 1ec3 ukh letter 1ea3's water barrier, forcing the leader back. Tai d stroke letter 1b letter 1eddng and Vuangan intervened to stop it. Mo Fan used a second-level lightning strike to temporarily restrain it, hindering its evolution, but it was temporary. It quickly adapted and resumed its advance. Lair K I letter 1ec7t urged a retreat, but the leader wanted to stand their ground. A mutual annihilation was better than letting it slaughter innocent civilians. He wanted everyone to follow the new recruit, Mo Fan's, example. Everyone chose to fight. Reinforcements arrived. A long-haired man created a flood to repel the werewolf, then used a whirlwind to throw it to its death. He wielded second-level abilities, surpassing the first-level techniques of Mo Fan's team. He believed Mo Fan would soon master second-level lightning, which would be significantly more powerful. He explained that level refers to elemental levels, while tier designates specific techniques. For example, creating a whirlwind and wind gliding are distinct wind magic techniques. Back in the dorm, Mo Fan met Zhu Min, relieved he was alive. He sensed his breakthrough was imminent. He trained, noticing his bracelet remained inactive after absorbing the werewolf's spirit, until it suddenly glowed, indicating an imminent upgrade. He'd eventually reach the 3rd level. The next day, Mo Fan took his sister sightseeing, giving her money for a new phone and clothes. He reassured her about finances since bounty hunting paid better than regular jobs. Tam H letter 1A1 revealed that her teacher had identified her as a special mage capable of wielding white magic, a high-level element paired with black magic, mastered by few. Tam H letter 1EA1's white magic focused on healing. She aimed to master it to help Mo Fan. Mo Fan eagerly anticipated this. Time passed, and Mo Fan asked Zio Hu about his post-graduation plans. Zio, who was unconcerned, focused on Mo Fan's upcoming duel. He'd heard influential figures would attend, making it a major event. Teacher D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNGNGUY letter 1EC7T informed Mo Fan that the principal needed to see him. Mo Fan also had questions for her, so they met on the rooftop that night. The principal explained that Mo Fan would face consequences for his actions. The duel would be significant. He revealed the sacred ground the Mu family coveted. The werewolf had absorbed energy from the sacred ground, fueling its evolution. Training there made second-level breakthroughs easier. The city only had one remaining sacred ground, so they decided to allow only one exceptional individual to train there annually. Mo Fan was the Academy's top candidate, while Vu and Gan represented the Mu families. M-letter 1E5C Trokvan's plan was to boost Vu and Gan's reputation, teach Mo Fan a lesson, and secure the sacred ground training spot. Mo Fan's chances weren't high, but the Academy was betting on him. Even defeat would showcase the Academy's strength. On the day of the duel, staff discussed the Mu family's invitation of Mo Fan's father. They pitied him for having such a reckless son, assuming Mo Fan would lose and disgrace his father before powerful families. M-letter 1E5C Trokvan apologized to Nin Tuy letter 1EBFT for the absence of her coming-of-age ceremony, but urged her to view Vuangan as a potential strong ally. She disliked the overly extravagant event, but he argued that Mo Fan was the Academy's top student, and Vuangan was practically family, justifying the scale. Besides, Mo Fan had repeatedly provoked him. Nin Tuy letter 1EBFT went for a walk. Mo Fan was atop a mountain, scouting the duel arena. Nin Tuy letter 1EBFT found him, having asked Tam H letter 1EA1. He found the ceremony excessive. She advised him against the duel. Vuangan was strong and ruthless. He disregarded her warning. Having lived with Vuangan in the Mu family, he'd long resented him. This was his chance to teach him a lesson. Nin Tuy letter 1 EBFT urged him to reconsider. Victory meant graduation. Defeat would disqualify him. But he'd long resented her father's arrogance. Unlike him, he loved his own father, who always took responsibility for his actions, even going to great lengths to get him into this academy. His father had also raised Tam H letter 1 EA1 like his own daughter after her mother left, never harboring resentment. He wanted to repay his father by preventing him from having to bow down to others. The next morning, Mo Fan walked to the arena, surrounded by luxury cars. He saw his demon hunting team, invited by Tai D stroke letter 1 Bo letter 1 EDDNG. He greeted her, but she berated him for using a different persona. He was Mo Fan, not PH letter 1 EA7N M letter 1 EB7C. He entered, and people recognized a resemblance to PH letter 1 EA7N M letter 1 EB7C. Tai D stroke letter 1 Beta letter 1 EDDNG commented on their vastly different temperaments. He ate heartily to prepare. TR letter 1 EA3M Kong arrived, having heard about his conflict with the Mu family, advising him to return for his protection, but Mo Fan refused. He preferred city life. He saw his friends arrive, including TI letter 1 EC3UH letter 1 EA7U, who mentioned his father was among the guests. He decided to show his father how much he'd grown. M letter 1 E5C Troc Van introduced Vu and Gan to the powerful families. The hunter team leader arrived just as the duel was about to begin. M letter 1 E5C Troc Van declared the start. Chow M letter 1 EABN was angry that he didn't mention Mo Fan. M letter 1 E5C B letter 1 EA1CH believed Mo Fan would be a stepping stone for Vu and Gan. They shook hands, exchanging barbs. Vu and Gan instantly froze the arena. Mo Fan used low-level fire to create an unfrozen area. He retaliated with a second-level fire attack, but Vu and Gan's speed-enhancing artifact allowed him to dodge. He decided to end it quickly, using a technique to accelerate the freezing, revealing third-level ice magic. In just a year since the werewolf fight, Vu and Gan had grown incredibly strong. Mo Fan's fire magic was extinguished, and everyone assumed the fight was over. A third-level elemental attack at 18 was overwhelming. Mo Fan had to reconnect his 7 stars. He was repeatedly interrupted but finally succeeded, unleashing a third-level fire attack. He pursued Vu and Gan with flames, but the enhanced speed made it ineffective. He detonated the flames widely, forcing Vu and Gan to take the hit. Vu and Gan was injured but stood, thanks to a second artifact, armor. Many deemed this unfair, but M letter 1 E5C Troc Van argued that he hadn't forbidden Mo Fan from using artifacts. Resources are part of strength. TR letter 1 E3M Kong urged Mo Fan to give up. The armor was fire resistant. But Vu and Gan insulted Mo Fan's father, enraging him. Mo Fan decided to show him what his father had given him was far more valuable than what M letter 1 E5C Troc Van provided Vu and Gan. He activated his lightning magic, shocking everyone. Phi TH letter 1 EA1CH realized Mo Fan was PH letter 1 EA7N M letter 1 EB7C. Mo Fan revealed his third-level lightning magic. D-stroke letter 1 Bao letter 1 EDDNGNGUY letter 1 EC7T noted that third-level lightning could easily pierce armor. The armor cracked and shattered under Mo Fan's attack. Mo Fan won, shocking everyone. Dual elemental mastery was rare, let alone at the third level. Mo Fan confronted M letter 1 E5C Troc Van, demanding an apology to his father. M letter 1 E5C Troc Van knelt and apologized, declaring Mo Fan the victor and granting him 7 days of training in the sacred ground. That night, they celebrated. Everyone praised Mo Fan's talent. He called his father, promising a visit. Days later, Zio Hu and a friend saw Mo Fan with Tam H letter 1EA1, assuming they were dating. Zio Hu joked about his own situation, causing his companion to blush and run away. Zio Hu asked why Mo Fan was still there, as he was supposed to leave for the sacred ground. Mo Fan wanted to buy his sister a birthday present. Zio Hu offered to take Tam H letter 1EA1 home. Mo Fan met M1E5C Troc Van and D-stroke 1EDDNGNGUY 1EC7T, who led him to an underground chamber. Before parting, D-stroke 1Beetle 1EDDNGNGUY 1EC7T gave Mo Fan a book to aid his training. Inside, he met the team leader. The missing girl from the girls' school incident was the sister of a sacred ground guardian. They hadn't found her, only traces of the demon and a liquid resembling the sacred ground's water. Research indicated this liquid could make a creature incredibly ferocious. That's why those demons, usually hiding in the shadows, dared to attack openly. Meanwhile, Mo Fan arrived at the sacred ground's entrance. He entered, and the door slammed shut. He found a place to cultivate. The surrounding pool of water surged, reacting to his bracelet. But when the bracelet stopped vibrating, the water calmed. Outside, John Kong felt the ground tremble. 4 danger signals had been triggered, and 2 white elemental mages had died. He sensed a major catastrophe and activated the highest alert level. Mo Fan continued his intense training, repeatedly failing to break through. Unaware of the outside world, he didn't know how much time he had left. The alert was issued, and teachers ordered an evacuation due to demons appearing in the city. Teacher D-stroke 1BO 1EDDNGNGUY 1EC7T was battling the one-eyed wolves that had overrun the city. Tam H 1EA1 also encountered them, and John Kong received a distress signal. He couldn't understand how the wolves infiltrated the city when the sacred ground remained secure. He decided to send teams into the city and abandon the mountain base. Defending the base was pointless if the city was under attack. Meanwhile, Mo Fan struggled to create the formation needed to level up. To cast spells, 7 stars must be connected. To ascend, he needed 7 star clusters 49 stars to form a complete constellation. He suspected teacher D-stroke 1BO 1EDDNGNGUY 1EC7T's gift of the training manual and help were due to romantic feelings. Snap out of it, kid. Focus on training so you can get out of here. A wolf had evolved into a dragon form and landed atop a tower. M1E5C Troc Van and Nin TUY 1EBFT were being evacuated by Jan Kong's men. She wanted to rescue Mo Fan, but it was too late. They were ambushed. Nin TUY 1EBFT froze the wolves, but some fired laser beams from their eyes. Someone summoned a large bird to carry them to safety. A sinister organization orchestrated this attack, unleashing the werewolves to seize the sacred ground. They'd used Vuangan to defeat Mo Fan, but he'd failed, necessitating this drastic measure. Mo Fan neared completion of his training when a loud noise caused him to rush to the door. A demon attacked the Guardian. Before he could react, Vu Han, the Guardian, arrived and shut the door. She activated a system, drawing water into a container. The sacred water was invaluable, and she couldn't let the demons obtain it. She showed Mo Fan a secret passage and explained that the cult targeted the water, creating a substance to enhance the demon's ferocity and mixing it with rainwater. He asked about the situation outside, but she was unsure. They escaped to find the city overrun with demons, a dragon werewolf atop the highest tower. 4 thugs who had bullied Tam H 1EA1 were searching for shelter, but encountered a wolf and were hunted down one by one. Mo Fan was worried about his sister and father. Tam H 1EA1 fled from a wolf, but her wheelchair was too slow. An elderly man helped her escape. He was pressured to close the doors for safety, but couldn't bear to leave others behind. They closed the doors themselves. Mo Fan decided to find his family, but Vu Han gave him the sacred water, instructing him to take it to safety. As a guardian, she was a greater target. He was less likely to be targeted, so he should protect it. He argued he wasn't obligated, family being more important, but she countered that the guardians who bought them time had families too, and her missing sister was her duty. Everyone sacrificed for their duty, neglecting their families. Couldn't he do both? He gave her a family photo, asking her to protect them if she found them. Mo Fan's father evaded a wolf and drove back to the city, encountering M1E5C Hati, whose car had broken down. He offered a ride, but M1E5C Hati suggested he go to the safe zone. He wanted to find his children. M1E5C Hati believed Mo Fan would be targeted first, as his location was the demon's focus, and that if Mo Fan was safe, he'd seek shelter. But his father insisted on M1E5C Hati accompanying him, either by foot or to the city. M1E5C Hati went along. At the academy, demons attacked relentlessly, piling up bodies. Supporting characters mostly survived. Chao M1EABN and her friend were pursued and fought back, encountering M1E5C B1EA1CH, who gave her a staff for defense. He saved the boastful chubby boy. Chiru Din, a lightning mage, was also fighting demons alone. The homeroom teacher rescued surviving students with blinding white magic. Xiao Hu and H1E1 Vu were surrounded. Xiao Hu used a new technique to teleport, but they encountered a larger demon. Xiao Hu fought to let H1E1 Vu escape, but Mo Fan arrived. He used lightning magic, to no effect. Xiao Hu used wind magic to create an opening for Mo Fan to finish it. Mo Fan led them to the gym, seeming safe. M1E5C B1EA1CH, Chao M1EABN, and H1E9 Achiru Din regrouped there. Teachers struggled with their decision. Staying put meant discovery, but evacuating so many students to the safe zone was impossible. A large group would be easy prey, but splitting up was risky. Abandoning students increased survival chances for the teachers, but no one could do that. A teacher suggested a scouting party. It needed strong members, and Mo Fan's teacher knew just who to ask. He gathered students, asking for volunteers. Chao M1EABN and H1E9 Achiru Din joined. Xiao, who wanted to join the rearguard with Mo Fan, but he argued the larger rearguard would be more vulnerable. A few demons were manageable, but a horde was suicidal. He chose to create his own path to survival and join the vanguard. Vu Han encountered the dual elemental brother, who offered help, realizing the cult was behind the attack, targeting the sacred ground to summon powerful demons. He asked about the sacred water. She'd given it to Mo Fan, who was probably heading to safety. They decided to find him to protect the water. Mo Fan's vanguard changed into battle gear. They split up, but soon spotted demons. They sent Xiao Hu and Chao M1EABN's friend to scout. Their wind magic was fast, but the friend was ambushed and killed. Mo Fan arrived, enraged, using lightning to paralyze the demon, and the teacher used white magic to eliminate it. They concluded that weakness caused the death. The teacher asked why Mo Fan was so experienced and calm. Mo Fan confessed to being a bounty hunter for a year, but admitted this level of death was new and scary. Xiao Hu scouted 3 more wolves. Mo Fan devised a strategy. Xiao Hu would lure one with evasive flight. M1E5C B1EA1CH would freeze another, and the others would focus on the third. This minimized risk. Mo Fan believed teamwork was key. Xiao Hu found a wolf and was pursued. He used trees to evade but was scratched. He used a whirlwind to escape but knew it was just a matter of time before the wolf caught up. He didn't want to rely on others. If he failed, they'd be vulnerable. He had a plan. When the wolf attacked, he used wind magic to escape, luring it toward metal bars. He teleported, and the wolf impaled itself. He realized demons weren't invincible. M1E5C B1EA1CH was freezing a wolf but needed help. He and the chubby boy joined Mo Fan's group. Chiru Din was electrocuting a wolf. Xiao Hu, heavily wounded, returned. M1E5C B1EA1CH and the chubby boy brought another wolf. Mo Fan gave the wolf to Chiru Din and dealt with M1E5C B1EA1CH's wolf, but it resisted fire. He used lightning to bind it and then burned it. Mo Fan's father had a flat tire. He asked M1E5C Hami for help, but he refused. He fixed it himself. He checked on M letter 1E5C halfway, who had left. Mo Fan dealt with all 3 wolves. He explained that earth mages distracted, wind mages bound, and water mages protected. He didn't expect blind obedience, but adherence to the plan minimized casualties. That's why the demons, usually lurking in dark places, dared to attack openly. Meanwhile, Mo Fan reached the sacred grounds entrance. He entered, and the door closed behind him. He found a spot to cultivate. The pool nearby surged, reacting to his bracelet. But when the bracelet stopped vibrating, the water calmed. Outside, Zhang Kong sensed tremors. 4 danger signals had been triggered, and 2 white elemental mages were dead. He saw this as a major disaster and ordered a full alert. Mo Fan, intensely training, repeatedly failed to break through. He was unaware of the outside situation and the time constraints. The alert was sounded, forcing an evacuation due to demons in the city. Teacher D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNGNGUY letter 1EC7T was battling one-eyed wolves in the city. Tam H letter 1EA1 also encountered them, and Zhang Kong received a distress call. He was baffled that the wolves had infiltrated the city while the sacred ground remained secure. He decided to send teams to deal with the city and abandon the mountain base. Defending it was pointless if the city was under attack. Meanwhile, Mo Fan struggled to create the formation for his ascension. He knew he needed to connect 7 stars to cast spells. To ascend, he needed 7-star clusters, 49 stars to form a constellation. He suspected teacher D-stroke letter 1 beetle letter 1 EDDNGNGUY letter 1 EC7TS help stemmed from romantic interest. But snap out of it, kid. Get training done and get out of here. A wolf had evolved into a dragon form, perched atop a tower. M letter 1E5C Troc Van and Nin TUY letter 1EBFT were being evacuated by Zhang Kong's men. She wanted to save Mo Fan, but it was too late. They were ambushed. Nin TUY letter 1EBFT froze the wolves, but some fired laser beams from their eyes. Someone summoned a large bird to evacuate them. A sinister organization was behind this, unleashing the werewolves to seize the sacred ground. They'd used Vuangan to defeat Mo Fan, but he'd failed, leading to this plan. Mo Fan, nearing the end of his training, heard a loud noise and saw a demon attacking the Guardian. Before he could react, Wuhan, the Guardian, arrived and shut the door. She activated a system, collecting the water in a container. The sacred water was precious. She wouldn't let the demons have it. She showed Mo Fan a secret passage, revealing the cult targeted this water, creating a substance to enhance demons and mixing it into rainwater. He asked about the outside situation. She didn't know. They used the elevator to escape and witnessed the city overrun with demons. A dragon werewolf sat atop the tallest tower. 4 thugs who'd bullied Tam H letter 1EA1 were searching for safety, but were hunted and killed by a wolf. Mo Fan worried about his family. Tam H letter 1EA1 was fleeing a wolf. An old man helped her escape, but others urged him to close the doors for safety. He couldn't leave people behind, but they closed the doors themselves. Mo Fan decided to find his family, but Wuhan gave him the sacred water, asking him to secure it. She was a bigger target. He argued that family was more important, but she pointed out that the guardians who'd bought them time also had families. Her missing sister was her duty. Everyone sacrificed their families for duty. Couldn't he do both? He gave her a picture of his family, asking her to protect them. Mo Fan's father evaded a wolf and drove back, encountering M letter 1E5C Hazi, whose car was broken down. He offered a ride, but M letter 1E5C Hawi suggested the safe zone. He wanted to find his children, but M letter 1E5C Hawi argued Mo Fan would be the first target. If he was safe, he'd find shelter himself. His father insisted. M letter 1E5C Hawi reluctantly agreed. At the academy, demons attacked relentlessly, piling up bodies. Supporting characters mostly survived. Chao M letter 1EABN and her friend fought off a demon, encountering M letter 1E5C B letter 1EA1CH, who gave her a staff. He also saved the boastful boy. Chirudin was fighting demons alone. The homeroom teacher used blinding white magic to save students. Xiao Hu and H1E1 Vu were surrounded. Xiao Hu used a new technique to teleport but encountered a larger demon. He fought to let H1E1 Vu escape. Mo Fan arrived and used lightning, but it was ineffective. Xiao Hu created an opening, allowing Mo Fan to eliminate the demon. Mo Fan led them to the gym, a seemingly safe place. M1E5C B1E1CH, Chao M1EABN, and H1E9 a Chirudin regrouped there. The teachers were conflicted. Staying risked discovery, but evacuating so many students to the safe zone was impossible. A large group would be easy prey, but splitting up was dangerous. Abandoning students improved their survival chances, but no one could bear to do it. A teacher proposed a scouting party of strong students. Mo Fan's teacher knew who to ask. He gathered students, asking for volunteers. Chao M1EABN and H1E9 a Chirudin volunteered. Xiao, who wanted to stay with Mo Fan in the rearguard, but Mo Fan argued the larger group was more vulnerable. A few demons were manageable, but a horde was suicidal. He wouldn't rely on luck. He joined the vanguard. Wu Han encountered the dual elemental brother, who realized the cult was behind the attack, targeting the sacred ground to summon powerful demons. He asked about the sacred water. She'd given it to Mo Fan, who was likely going to safety. They decided to find him to protect it. Mo Fan's vanguard changed into battle gear and began scouting. They quickly found demons. They sent Xiao Hu and Chao M1EABN's friend to scout. She was ambushed and killed. Mo Fan arrived, enraged, using lightning to paralyze the demon, and the teacher eliminated it. They concluded it was a mistake that resulted in her death. The teacher asked about Mo Fan's experience and calm. He admitted to being a bounty hunter for a year, but this level of death was new and frightening. Xiao Hu scouted 3 more wolves. Mo Fan devised a strategy. Xiao Hu would lure one with evasive flight. M1E5C B1E1CH would freeze another, and the others would focus on the third. This minimized risk. Teamwork was key. Xiao Hu found and was pursued by a wolf. He used trees for cover but was scratched. He used a whirlwind to temporarily escape, knowing the wolf would soon track him. He didn't want to rely on rescue. His failure would endanger the others. He had a plan. When the wolf attacked, he used wind magic to escape, luring it towards metal bars. He teleported, and it impaled itself. He realized demons weren't invincible. M1E5C B1E1CH was freezing a wolf but needed help. He and the chubby boy joined Mo Fan's group. Chirudin was electrocuting a wolf. Xiao Hu returned, heavily wounded. M1E5C B1E1CH and the chubby boy brought another wolf. Mo Fan gave it to Chirudin and dealt with the other. It resisted fire, so he used lightning to bind it, and then burned it. Mo Fan's father had a flat tire. He asked M1E5C Havi for help, but he refused. He fixed it himself, then checked on M1E5C Hadi, who'd left. Mo Fan had dealt with all 3 wolves. He explained earth mages distracted, wind mages bound, and water mages protected. He didn't expect blind obedience, but adherence to the plan minimized casualties. This translation aims for natural-sounding American English while retaining the nuances of the original text. Sentence structure and word choice have been adjusted for a smoother, more engaging read. Mo Fan's friends discovered the hunter team had joined forces with the military to locate the demon's tunnels. Mo Fan asked to join the search to rescue his sister. His father wanted him to stay, but Mo Fan believed his sister was alive and that he'd never let her down, so he'd go. The supervisors said they could only take him along. They wouldn't help him find his sister, but he only needed a ride. He'd find her himself. Meanwhile, Tam H1A1's group was hiding in a shopping mall storage room. They were tired of waiting and planned to fight their way out, but that was suicide. An older man remembered the drainage pipes and suggested using them to escape. They agreed. A girl asked someone to take Tam H1E1. Everyone was worried about themselves, so she offered to carry Tam H1E1, but she refused, not wanting to burden anyone. She gave the girl her bracelet, asking her to give it to Mo Fan if they met at the safe zone. She asked her to tell Mo Fan that she was dead so he wouldn't look for her. Soon, Mo Fan's group was stuck in a damaged area. Lair Ki-1EC7T scouted ahead using wind magic, clearing out the rats along the way. The group followed. Mo Fan saw the supervisor effortlessly using ice magic to eliminate demons. He heard a cry for help and wanted to investigate, but the others said their mission was the girls' school, not here. Whether he helped was up to him. He was about to leave when someone rushed out and died before them. They'd emerged from the sewers, and it turned out to be a rat demon lair. They'd come from the mall and encountered demons halfway. Mo Fan then found his sister's bracelet on a girl's wrist. The girl who'd passed the message had died. Mo Fan knew his sister had interacted with this girl and decided to go to the mall. The hunter team and supervisor could only get him there. He'd have to continue alone. Everyone knew his sister had been abandoned due to the cramped sewers. They hoped she wouldn't give up hope. Tam H1E1 left her hiding place and tried to escape, but found the main supermarket area overrun with demons. They were scavenging. A demon smelled something and found her, destroying her wheelchair. She hid in a nearby freezer. 2 cult members watched the destruction when one spotted Mo Fan. It was Vuengan, who decided to take revenge. Mo Fan was fighting wolves and quickly hid in the supermarket. He encountered Vuengan, who revealed his disfigured face, blaming Mo Fan for taking his sacred ground opportunity. He unleashed a horde of monkey demons. Mo Fan fought them off while running. Vuengan's accomplice called, reminding him to deal with the team at the girls' school. Otherwise, he'd be reported, and the rest of his face would be disfigured. He left the monkeys to deal with Mo Fan. Mo Fan reached the security room, checked the cameras, and found Tam H1E1's destroyed wheelchair, but also found her hiding in a freezer. He continued his search. The monkeys were approaching. Charging in would be suicide. He knew the rats had poor eyesight and relied on heat, which is why Tam H1E1 hid in the freezer. He couldn't wait. He saw Tam H1E1 opening the freezer. He had to act quickly. As the monkeys approached, he started drawing the constellation again for his ascension. His bracelet showed signs of evolving. D-stroke letter 1 bro letter 1 EDD NGNGUY letter 1 EC7TS book contained the constellations he needed. The bracelet enhanced his fire magic, making him stronger. He could incinerate the monkeys. He emerged. They fled, but he wouldn't let any escape. He used lightning to restrain them before incinerating them. Meanwhile, Tam H1E1 was discovered by the rats. She stabbed one in the eye. The others attacked. She hid under a counter but was found. She called for Mo Fan, who arrived and rescued her, warming her up. He carried her out. The wolves avoided him, sensing his power. He could only threaten lower-level demons. Higher-level ones were still too difficult. He let his sister rest. He wondered about the hunter team at the girls' school. Tam H1E1 reminded him of the missing girl. She'd been with people in gray clothes who smelled strange monkey demons. Mo Fan realized she'd encountered the cult and was likely killed. He feared the hunter team was ambushed. He found a motorcycle, deciding to take his sister to safety and return to help. Tam H1E1 noticed his injuries and used her healing magic. He was surprised. She was the only healer in the city. He wanted to take her to safety while he helped defend the city. If he failed to help John Kong kill the leader, the city would fall, and the safe zone wouldn't hold against the demons. Tam H1E1 decided to go with him. The hunter team and supervisors reached the girls' school, finding a surviving girl and the demon entrance. They tried to block it, but the demons kept breaking through. They fought back, but Vuengan and his accomplice arrived. Tam H letter 1EA1, though safe, encountered a high-level demon. They hid in an alley. The hunters were still blocking the hole when the two arrived. Vuongan gave them a chance to join the cult, but they refused, enraging him. They fought back. His accomplice tried to flee, but was frozen by Tai D-stroke letter 1BO letter 1EDDNG. Vuongan unleashed monkey demons, but the hunters repelled them, defeating Vuongan. Meanwhile, Jan Kong's team was approaching the leader. The leader landed to face its warriors. Higher-level demons were smarter. Jan Kong, also a dual elemental mage, wouldn't retreat. The wolves attacked. Jan Kong's team fought, sacrificing themselves to give him the best chance against the leader. Each could defeat a high-level demon with one strike, but their numbers were overwhelming. Jan Kong pressed on, his team falling one by one, until he reached the leader. He unleashed his fury, flying towards it, but it blasted him back. He regained his balance, used high-level fire magic to create a rain of fire, and launched a massive fireball. Mo Fan knew he couldn't retreat. He had to help Jan Kong. The hunter team was attacked by a high-level demon. They were exhausted and couldn't fight. Mo Fan arrived, using a second-level fire attack to send the wolf falling into a pit, blocking the entrance. Vuongan, still alive, was furious Mo Fan survived. He'd retreat and seek revenge later. To be continued.